When China and U.S. together, they can really do something great, it seems.
Well, we certainly did back in World War II, no question about it, and we certainly can do it again. I think when the chips are down, that is when times get, if not a crisis, but where there's a real challenge, then people tend to work better together. And I hope we don't face a crisis, I hope we don't face a challenge. I don't think we will. But the knowledge that we have many times worked United States and China so well together is a good reason to believe we can and we will. There's no question in my mind. And
what is in your mind that you think could help us to prevent crisis from happening?
I think basically it's important for American people to understand Chinese people are just like American people. You know, same wishes, hopes, and desires, and Chinese people are the same. It also, I think, it would help if we were to travel more, if Americans would spend more time getting out of America and come over to China, see China, and deflate some of the myths, you know, one way or another about China, and vice versa. It's good that so many Chinese come to the United States. We issue about 2.7 million visas a year,
wow.
Chinese visas coming to America, and I wish more Americans would come over too. But in the meantime, we can publicize these efforts. You know, people watch TV, you know, they look on the internet, and the more we can publicize all of this, and you know, that all helps.
But we've been hearing about, you know, the rebalance strategy, and there's certain kinds of sentiment in China who do not necessarily understand what is the real nature of this. Are they trying to corner China into a very small place? Do they really understand the rise of China? Is there going to be future conflict between China and the United States, a rising power, incumbent power? People ask these generally important questions.
Those are good questions. Those are questions that should be asked. And when they're asked, they should be examined very constructively and with deep efforts and efforts that listen to the other country, to listen to the other country's point of views. Because China's not perfect, the United States is not perfect. Each country has its own culture, its own pride, and its own sense of nationalism. But we can't let that get in the way, because with each passing day, the world's getting smaller. We're getting closer and closer together. Actions that occur in one country are going to more likely affect the other country, both ways. And I think inevitably, when people ask that question, when people start to think about it, not just knee-jerk, not just react to what somebody else says, but think about it, they'll realize that we will probably, not only probably, highly likely we will get together in a positive way, because we have no alternative.
What do you think might be the biggest danger facing the two countries? Is it internal politics? Is it misunderstanding, mistrust toward one another strategically?
I think the biggest potential danger is failure of people in both countries to take the time and effort to learn about the other country. And it's partly because people tend to be a little bit comfortable. It's important for people to get out of their comfort zones. For Americans,
not easy.
Not easy. It takes work. It takes effort. It's like all things in life. It takes work.
Have you tried?
I've done my very best every day. Try to understand China better, understand better, and to explain to Chinese people as well as I can the American point of view, and ask lots of questions of the Chinese point of view, so I better understand. It's a constant, everyday effort.
And Mr. Ambassador, when you were serving on the Capitol Hill, you were very instrumental in making sure China and the United States will be able to work together within the WTO framework. And that, of course, is the trade. It's the foundation, one of those, for the two countries. Is that still going to be the foundation, given the trade conflicts and the different kinds of economic priorities of the two countries?
Yeah. Well, trade, I think, is the ballast between our two countries. But we have to move beyond trade. WTO was a trade agreement. It lowered tariffs and lowered trade barriers between and among countries. The next step is investment. The United States and China, as I'm sure you know, working very hard to adopt what's called a bilateral investment treaty. That's investment. And that means that, and that's more important in a certain respect, because if each country can invest more freely and easily with more confidence in the other country, they're going to be more involved in the other country, because that's investment. So I hope that we can get that passed.
But that's so difficult, Mr. Ambassador.
Things that have high value are often difficult. it is important to make the effort.